like that they still made him all rainbowy. That's cool.
Yeah, I like his design. I just don't get why he's the fifth boss. Oh god. Don't you do it. Thank you. Ah, woo! Could you please be down here more often? Ooh, that was a bad thing to do that I did. Why do I keep jumping? Well, I guess I think he's gonna swoop at me. I don't like this ring. Turn it off.
The purple-haired woman came to the clearing in the plain, and without looking up from her book, said, "It's too late to be thinking about baby names." The village of Pembrokeshire, in the country of Mersey, lies on a wide, happy plain, which, in a few years, was to become known as the Land of the Endless Mountains. I don't think the neural net has plagiarized any of these. They are so good that I'm suspicious, but others of the neural net's lines are even weirder, yet in an effective way that opens with an intriguing premise. The moon stood on its own 2 feet. The moon had gone out. I was playing with my dog, Mark the Brown Labrador, and I had forgotten that I was also playing with a dead man.
It's easy to forget some of these things.
The black stone was aching from the rain.
Oh, God, I hate when lightning randomly hits you from nowhere. I never expect that.
The short, dirty, and dirty-looking ship that weighed 3 tons and was 3 feet in diameter landed on a desolate and green
plain. It was a very
plain.
small ship.
Very dense ship. And yet still somehow a ship. How many times have I had the misfortune to die? The first black dog in the park had been captured alive. Behold, the sky rabbits!
Oh, no.
In the belly of the great beast that was the bovine Aurora, there lived, upon the right hand of the throne, the Empress Penelope, and she had, as it were, a heart of gold. The moon stood on its own 2 feet.
Again?
Well, this time it's actually in the list, as opposed to the big, like, markery dividers. The reeking maw of the blood-drunk ship, the enemy's flagship, was silent and empty. The first day I met my future self, I was aboard the old dirigible that lay in wait for me on the far side of the moon. The child of 2 cats and a tiger, a clown, a horse, a bird, a ship, and a dragon stood on either side of the threshold of the gatehouse.
Or did they walk into a bar?
Yeah. Watching the throng of travelers who came in from all around the world, before he had any idea what was going on. I think it's probably doing this accidentally, stringing likely words and phrases together without understanding what any of them really mean. It's not that it's a good science fiction, it's not that it's good at science fiction or magical realism, it's that it's trying and failing to predict what would have fit in the usual human-written stuff. Some of the neural net's first lines really betray its lack of understanding of the laws of physics. It really likes to describe the weather, but it doesn't really understand how weather works, or other things really.
Oh yeah, Flashy flew. Here's his final blow, I guess, or his second phase. I like it. Oh nope, I'm just fighting him with.
In silhouette mode with scary lasers.
Oh, that was his last attack.
Oh, he just exploded.
That was a cool last attack. I really like the spectacle. Oh, there's Dracula Castle.
Yep, I like Androlphus.
I really like that spectacle.
The moon was low in the sky, as though it had been shipped in from the farthest reaches of the solar system. The first star I saw was a blue one, which became a scarlet one, and then a gold one, and green, and finally a yellow one, which for some years afterwards seemed to be an ebony one, or even a bubbling mass.
Oh, it's Boer. That's not how Boo moves. Oh, wait, that's the dumb EU.
The sun rose slowly, like a mighty black cat, and then sank into the state of deep sleep. Like a mighty black cat is what I would add to that. That's exactly how Boo-Airs work.
What's the point of all those legs if you don't use them for something?
The sea of stars was filled with the serenity of a million little birds. You know, because a million little birds would be very serene. A million.
A million.
What's that ability?
That lightning orb. I don't know why it gets its own color of candle. I wanted that.
You can't have it. It's the golem again.
But, oh, that door doesn't work.
This time it's the ice golem.
Ow. He must die. Oh man, so much EU going on here.
Here we go again. The great blue field was all white, swept away by the blue-gold breeze that blew from the south.
What color was the south?
The sky was cold and dark, and the cold wind, if it had not been for the clouds, would have lashed the children to the roof of the house. That's a really crazy thing for wind to do.
Scary?
The morning sun was shining brightly, but the sky was gray and the clouds aching. The night that he finally made up his mind to kill the dog, no! The man was walking home from the store with his wife and child in the back seat. He was walking home with his wife and child in the back seat. Well, at least we know it's not a real world, then.
I mean, well, no, it's not, but...
Arthur the Lion had pretty much... Arthur the Lion had been pretty much extinct for some time. Until the time when he was petted by Abernathy the old woman and her son, Mr. Pop.
Mr. Pop. And they pet him and made him unextinct.
Yes.
It's like a Mr. Abernathy the old woman and her son, Mr. Pop.
Yeah, Mr. P-O-P-P,
here.
Mr. Pop.
How do I get through
You
that?
slide with the
She's
lady.
dead. But once I do that, I don't know how to get past that wooden barricade.
You throw Pikachu at it, like Cramrat would. One of the disadvantages of having a neural net that can string together a grammatical sentence is that its sentences now can begin to be terrible in a more human sense, rather than merely incomprehensible. It ventures into the realm of awful simile, or mind-numbingly repetitive, as we've seen before. And it makes a decent stab at the 19th century style of bombastic wordiness. I selected examples above for uncomprehending brilliance of the utter tediousness of its... or below is more of them. Is more the norm. The whites of my eyes shimmered as if my mind were dancing. I once went to a party where the dress code was strict as a chicken coop with no leggings and no boots. A black cloud...
Oh, what? Oh, that's lava. I thought that was sand.
A black cloud drifted by, a mottled mass of hydrogen, a black cloud of hydrogen, with the definite characteristic of being black. I say I am at sea because I am standing upon the ocean, and look out across the barren, vast throng of the sea.
Your killer barbers, they look much different. And much bigger.
They look more Yermbly. They look like they're heavily referencing Clock Tower. It is, of course, with a trifling manner in the ordinary course of things. If a certain writer would write a novel, which is a book of stories, which is a book of characters, wherein every detail of the story is stated, together with a brief description of the theme which it concerns. There was a boy with blue eyes, with sandy hair and blue eyes that looked at all times like he had been pushed through a million compartments. The sun, with its rolling shaft of bright light, the brilliant blue of the distant golden sun, and the red glow of its waning corona was shining. The man who was not Jack the Ripper had been promoted 4 times in the last 2 years.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah,
Who wasn't Jack
yeah, the
the
one
Ripper.
who wasn't Jack the Ripper.
I know him. Oh, look at it. It's
That might be my favorite.
this one?
The man who was not Jack the Ripper. Felix the Paw was sitting at the table of his favorite restaurant, the Bordeaux, in the town of Bordeaux, when his father, Cincinnati, came in to say goodbye to the restaurant.
What was happening?
I don't know, he came in to say goodbye to the restaurant.
Yeah, but like, why is this restaurant going somewhere?
Yeah, it's one of those, like, food trucks.
Oh.
It, sir, gives me the greatest pleasure to hear that the court be not too long in passing away, but that I may have the leisure to prepare a new work for the publication of my friend and colleague, the renowned epistemology, which is now finished, and in which I shall endeavor to show that this very point of the highest importance in the subject of philosophy, which I am about to treat of. It was a rainy, drizzling day in the summer of 1869, and the people of New York, who had been accustomed to the warm, kissable air of the city, were having another bad one. Repetitiveness is also common, especially in the conservative temperature setting. Once the neural net gets itself in a repetitive state, it doesn't seem to rescue itself. It's a problem that people have noticed in several versions of this algorithm. It doesn't help that I forgot to scrub the title that someone submitted into the dataset that consists of the word...
Oh, I'm double old man.
It doesn't help that I forgot to scrub the title that someone submitted to the dataset that consists of the word sand repeated 2,000 times. Why would someone submit that? What the hell?
Oh, both of the old men are dead when they do that. That would be a problem, though, wouldn't it?
Yes. The sky was blue, and the stars were blue, and the sun was blue, and the water was blue, and the clouds were blue, and the blue sky was a piece of glass.
Little lip subversion there. It wasn't the sky. I was saying the blue sky was blue, but no, it was a piece of glass.
At the end of the world, where the tides burst upon the drowned, there exists a land of dragons, which is the land of the dragons.
Oh.
It's the end of the world, 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 it's the end of the world. You're dead.
Is this what it says?
Yes.
I don't like this.
And then because of it, the thing he said before, or she said before...
The end of the world. Oh, god damn it!
Is there just an insta-death right there?
No, I tripped and I fell off the ledge right in front of me.
Oh. There was once a land of sand, 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 until, yeah.
I'm going down here. Screw that up there. But don't jump down here or you will die.
Oh no, sand and sand. Sand, 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 sand.
Oh, well, was a bum life. Ah! I'm full of sadness. Alright, this is the horrible monkey hole. Don't go down there. What?
It says sand 105 times after the sand and sand. Increasing the temperature of the sampling would help with the repetitiveness problem, in theory, letting the neural net venture into more interesting territory. By a temperature of 1.0, the text tends to venture out of everyday surrealism and into wordy yet distractible incomprehensibility. The praying mules on the top of hills sounded the final klaxon, lifting their spiked front hooves as they crept the as they crept the last few feet of desert landscape past the crest of the enormous swath of prehistoric sand.
Sand.
Yes. In the glen of the loch is a ladder that winds way that winds way up through the passage to a ledge with soft, moss-laden environmental standards. Someone whipped a dead squash gibbet across the room, like a formidable warlord unleashing a heavy hunk of silver at home.
Oh.
One blue-eyed child stood up and cried out, "Doré, Soreens, my uncle, Fanny Pemble the Loader." Judd, an elderly despot, or queen in Amorphilles, was sitting across the table from the king, looking...
God, mid-boss time. What's it? Oh no! There's a bathtub! No!
Uh-oh.
I need more blood.
I need more blood.
No.
I like that design better with the pixely look to it.
Ow. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do?
Oh, you're supposed to freeze the umbrella so you can get up and bonk bonk?
This is silly. Oh. Well, thank you for giving me umbrellas in the first place.
Let's
I
see
really
here.
hate you, I think. Oh, God!
Now we're in danger mode.
Old, it's your turn.
With fire shield.
I mean, I'm out of mana, so... No, I'm hitting her with a stick. The Buster Rod, as it's called.
Is that what it calls it?
Yeah! It's a weird name for it.
Judd, an elderly despot, or queen in Amorphilles, was sitting across the table from the king, looking very thoughtfully into the perplexions of the proceedings.
Spin.
Oh, you're a coward little fool. As if you couldn't bear to leer at the punker or white-clad bodyguard quickly emerging from a shady, storm-damaged area of the city. Hanging presently in his little bell-bottomed chamber on the landing house, early in the morning, the Iron Traveler sat on a broad, blonde, sand-brick-sannel blanket
What are you saying?
outside the gate of a vast and ancient island.
Damn it! Oh no, I'm dead in the air. I touched a blood.
Long, glowing tongues trailed from your mouth as you listened to what was being said across the kingdom. Across the kingdom of
I hate
ours.
dying the minute I respawn because I respawn with no health.
Mm-hmm. But growing a little more somber since the week that caused us to proclaim general war. The night I first met Winnie the Pooh, I sat in the tasting house and heard the chef unpack the last of the